$5 per device per year.
So
So that covers it.
So essentially, it's a break even.
It's a break even, you got it. So essentially, it's a break even, we're really not putting the money out for it, the parent is putting the money out for it. It's optional, it's totally optional. If the parent does not wish to pay it, and their son or daughter does drop their computer, then they have to pay
Paying the
it.
cost.
They pay that money. Those costs are posted on the website, and they're in the form that every parent signs off on. We have about 5% who don't take the ADP coverage at the high school. I guess they figure when you see it's more expensive on the 11E to replace a screen, it's more expensive to replace the keyboard, everything's just a little higher quality. When they replace the screen, it's not just replacing the screen, they replace the bezel, they replace the digitizer. So it costs a little bit more, plus it's the labor cost. And we send that out to Integra One is our service provider for fixing the 11Es.
And is the cost of that, the cost of that, if we look at the total claims, to actually figure out how much money that is almost impossible, because if it goes out, you don't always know everything they do. You know what it goes out for, but you don't know that it might be sent out for one thing and they had to fix 5.
Correct.
And we don't really know that, so to cost out what it would have cost
It's
to
the-
truly fix it, if it wasn't
Correct.
under warranty, or ADP, not warranty, but ADP. Alright. So
Correct.
did you try to estimate that in terms of, what is that in terms of dollars?
So I have some of the invoices for the students who get invoices when they don't have ADP.
We have some samples.
So I have samples, and actually, we don't have one that went out this year so far in 18-19. There's not a one that wasn't covered under ADP, so that,
Wow.
you know,
That's
like I said, there's only like 5%.
Right.
So, oh my, this is really small. To replace the keyboard and the top cover on one young man's computer here was $235.25. That was the keyboard cover and
Should
labor.
cover the insurance.
Yeah, the coverage recovery.
You rolled the dice, you
covered your
lost.
insurance. There was a base enclosure, so the bottom enclosure, plus it's a half an hour of work. So our labor rate is $95 an hour, total $181 here. To replace the
lost two.
system board, to replace the motherboard
Oof.
with the labor, $484.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So when you say, you know, so this gives you a sampling of what it does cost if it goes out and it's not covered. So, this one here was a top cover, base enclosure, a hard drive, because again, when you drop it, it could be more than just the cover. That was $485 as well. So it can add up rather quickly. So really the $35, it looks like the claims might only be 16%, but, it's worth it in the end. I would feel as a parent for that $35 to cover me.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth it.
I agree.
So I have recommendation up here, probably not the best choice of word. How about option for 1920? So, and again, now we're at the middle school, so not at the higher end, but at the middle school. So if we were to purchase the extended warranty plus the ADP, so the whole enchilada here, on the 1920 devices, the extra charge to the district would be $63, which is that 3-year warranty and ADP times 600 units is what I'm estimating that we need for this class coming in. 3-year coverage is $37,800. There'd be no additional cost for those 18-19 devices. They're still covered by warranty. Remember, I said we have a 2-year warranty on the current devices. And if we would choose to extend that warranty on the devices that we bought last year for next year, that would be that extra $16 to extend that warranty for an additional year, and that's $9,600. Proposing to the optional parent payment for the ADP coverage, $20 a year for your 3 years, so that's $60. So again, it's pretty much a wash. So $20 times, and I'm figuring 1,445 students, I'm figuring there's gonna be 1,700 students in the middle school. I'm assuming 10% free and reduced lunch and 5% opting out of the fee. So that's just estimates. So at $20 times 1,445 students, that would be $28,900 coming in just for 1 year. So the district cost for that extended coverage then would be $37,800, which is up top there, the 63 times 600, plus $9,600 if we choose to extend the warranty on the 600 units that we purchased last year, and then take away, or minus, sorry, take away, so I'm gonna try, minus $28,900 that we take in. So for district cost this year for extended coverage would be $18,500.
That's the
So-
part that beat the budget.
And that would be what would, add, that would be the add to go with the extended warranty and ADP for the full 3 years.
Can I price this out over 3 years though? Because what I think I hear you saying is that 37,800 is the cost to cover next year's 6th graders for all 3 years.
Correct.
Okay, so let me just focus on that number. So let's say there's 600 6th graders, and we're talking about their costs to the district. So the coverage is 37,800. You're subtracting out 15% because of the free and reduced and the opting out fee.
Correct.
So if we take out 15% of 600, we're at 510 kids. So we're gonna make that 500 kids for the sake of math, all right? If they're paying $20 a year, we get $60 over 3 years from 500 kids, right? So $60 times 500 is 30,000. And so we're spending 37,800 and collecting 30,000, which means the cost over 3 years is only 7,800, and I rounded down.
Wow,
It's
you're
actually less than
better
7,800.
math
It's
than
actually
me.
closer to
That's
5,000.
Very good.
Right.
And your percentages are high on free and reduced and the 5% opting out, and the opting out, we're gonna get their money, and so there are other ways to look at this. So really, the 18,500, you're only subtracting out 1 year of the $20. You're not subtracting out multiple years of the $20. Okay,
Yes.
all right. So that 18,500 is really only the cost that'll be incurred for that first year, but there actually are then savings in years 2 and 3.
Right,
Because we don't have to expend anything for the
Thank you.
7th and 8th graders, but we're
Yes.
collecting $20 from them
Correct.
right.
if we choose to do it. The other option is to self-insure, still collect the $20, and then we fix the ones we can fix, and we replace the ones because they're actually cheap enough. It probably, in lots of cases, it would be just cheaper to buy a new one and give them a $300, $15 machine.
Exactly,
Over the long haul, it might be cheaper to self-insure.
yes.
And that's really the risk we're taking.
That is the
So if it's not under ADP, like they will charge us for that quote because they've taken it apart and they've, they're looking at it. So if we don't go forward with it, they will charge us, I forget the exact rate, I think it's $75 for the quote at that point. So, but we haven't hit where, they've come back to us and said it's $700. It's total. It's total. Except for the car, the one that got run over by the car, but
Yeah,
then
well,
we
it was
dealt with
total,
that.
right?
But
That
then
was literally-
we dealt with that with the leasing
So-
contract.
So so it was about 50-50 as far as who pays for insurance versus self-insures. Pretty close. It was what, 3 to 4 out of the 7. Do you know if the 3 pay for the warranty and not ADP, or if those 3 don't pay for either with their and cover their own warranty repairs in-house as well, rather than paying for that additional warranty? Because I'm also wondering, I don't know how I'd like to be able to compare, if we can fix most of the things in-house, if it's worth us to be paying for all of that extra money, and maybe reaching out to the 3 that are self-insured and finding out from them, how's it working for them? How are their numbers looking?
So for us to say that we're going to repair everything in-house is,
That's a lot of manpower.
yeah.
That's man hours.
That's a lot of man hours.
Put it in a box and send
Well,
it
unless the
back to
cases are eliminating 79% of the the breakages.
Yeah, but we don't know that.
That's enough.
Well,
We can't,
I mean,
we can't determine.
And I think the most likely time to break it is as you take it in and out, or as you're using it, as opposed to when it's in the fleet.
or aren't you sitting at a desk when you're taking it out of your?
They fall off the desk.
There's some reaction.
They
Sometimes
do.
it gets like.
Oh, they get knocked off the desk.
Yeah.
Kids are getting up, they're back.
Kids are getting up.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I'm extremely accident prone, so if I'm extremely accident prone as an adult, there's gonna be accident prone children. So, I haven't grown into those.
I find it fun to get an out of box. It's good.
I just feel like it's a very real possibility that you could be sitting down and it slides, I mean, you know, you bump it and it slides off the
These little
desk.
tabs.
Right, I
They're
get
dirty,
that,
they'll
but the
slide.
whole point of insurance is, the whole point of insurance is the bigger, you know, the bigger pool you're pooling from, it's just like health
Yeah.
insurance, right? As an individual, it makes sense to have health insurance, because if something goes wrong, it's really expensive, but when you have a pool, you know, of that many people,
Yeah,
and you even out the cost, sometimes it's better to be self-insured, just like we are with our health insurance.
right, but I think for self-insuring, then your costs go up on having people to repair it.
Right.
But we're already repairing what we can repair in-house and only sending them what we can't do.
No, the only thing that we're repairing in-house right now are we've repaired some of the cracked screens and some of the,
Yeah, these devices.
Why
and
did
these
we choose
devices,
to do that?
because it's not covered under accidental damage. Or it's not covered under warranty, so it's either we fix it
Right,
or
we
we
didn't
have to.
currently have ADP. If we had ADP on the device,
It
you
would go out.
would, you would have them do it, because there would be
Absolutely.
no reason for us
Correct.
to do it.
Correct.
Right.
And so,
Yes.
Bring it back.
Do you charge a child?
and I just want to be clear, so every one of those one-to-one districts buys a 6th grader a laptop, and then 9th grade buys them a different laptop.
I specifically asked that. So you can't get 7 years out of a
You're not
device.
getting 7
It's
years
just,
out.
But you're buying a lower-end laptop at the middle school. You're buying a higher-end laptop at the high school. And so after 4 years, year 5, you're still getting a better laptop than the lower-level middle school laptop that you're buying that doesn't have all of the
5 years.
memory and all
Your
that.
hard drives and your batteries are gonna start crashing.
I have a laptop, I've had the same laptop since 2008. I don't have any problems with it.
Oh my gosh, I get one every year.
Because you're breaking.
I'm not trying to be argumentative, but there are people like me. Ask my boss, he's
And
already given me a new
when
one.
I look at your data, and you said that they were the current juniors, correct? Because
Correct.
they're the ones who have had them for 2.5 years. Is it fair for me to say that in 2.5 years, about half of the computers have had some sort of issue,
yes, it is.
right? Because it's
Correct.
46% if you add up warranted and ADP.
Correct.
I'm assuming there isn't any overlap, but maybe there's a little overlap.
There-
But
I'm sure there's some.
it's in the
overlap.
ballpark of 40 to 50%. In 2.5 years, almost half the machines have had some sort of issue
Correct,
that we've had to replace and
correct.
deal with, and things like that.
And that's only that one model, right? The 11E.
The 11E is what we're,
Yeah.
is
Well,
at the high school.
And that kind of brings me back to actually Mrs. Furlong's question at the beginning. Is Lenovo the right way to go? Are we comparing that to other products that are out there? Because I can tell you, I've taken these home.
I've broken a few.
I've taught a lot of the high school kids that have they hate them. They have all kinds of glitches in them. I've only brought 2 home, and I've had problems with both of them. So,
I had one of these
So-
webbooks.
So your computer that you've had since 2008 is in that?
and my 2008 still works. So
I'm just saying, we're not gonna get Macs for all the kids.
It's not a Mac, right?
Oh,
It's not a
it's
Mac.
not.
Is
It's
this
not.
like a web book
I think it's a
or
Dell.
something like
It's not a
that?
Chromebook. It's not a Chromebook. It's
So,
If
well, I had a
recall-
Lenovo like this, and it did have tons of glitches. I'm so sorry,
That's right.
Mr. Kraft.
That's right.
I'm done.
If I recall, when we first looked at Lenovo, we went out and benchmarked the other manufacturers.
We did.
Oh, okay.
We did this. And Lenovo was towards the top of that list when you look at failure rates. Lenovo is one of the better. Okay,
Okay.
you can say that you had two that you had issues with. I don't know what those issues were, but okay, I get it. But when we benchmarked this a couple of years ago, the other manufacturers, the HPs, the Dells, et cetera, were far worse,
Okay.
okay, in their history.
It's gotten a lot better. Lenovo has come a
Well,
long way.
Can we update that comparison and see if that's still the same?
And
It's
the
not
one,
gonna change now.
You don't think so?
Getting a lot more.
so the durability. So at this point, we have standardized, and there's a lot to be said to be standardized from a support
Yes.
perspective as well. So also, for the teachers who have a docking station, so we know that the dock works.
Oh.
You know, no
That's
matter
huge.
what model they bring in, you know,
Oh,
because
nice.
every year the model changes. You
Yeah.
know, just like a car, you know,
That's
they
nice.
change things. But the dock that we have purchased will work with the Lenovo laptop.
And you know what, Dell doesn't do that. Dell's
Do they-
changes.
Do they
Dell's
change?
docking stations
Yeah.
change.
So,
So that's a
They're
really big
replicators.
thing with
They're
Lenovo.
replicators.
and almost $200
A
a
pop
piece.
for a replicator.
Oh,
And we just have a little USB dock.
Yeah.
It doesn't have power, it's just
Yeah.
a little USB dock, I think they're $80 a dock.
yeah, so that's a savings right there if they don't
Exactly.
change
That's
it.
close to
Okay, I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Lenovo's coming along, they actually, that's 5, 6 years, 10 years.
Well, I sure hope so.
And
But it could
also,
be
you know, in the education space, definitely.
Okay.
You're supposed to have, you know,
Mhm.
when we first went out and we bought the HPs, now again, this was 6 years ago, but, you know, they were the big, huge HPs that all you had to do was blow on the corner and the corner broke, you know. So these have come a long way as far as their durability.
So you're proposing a fee for
So,
middle school, $20 technology fee, and $35 at the high school level.
So the high school already is there.
They're already
So
there.
the high school already has, and again, it's an optional fee.
Okay.
So, you know, the parent has the option to pay it, but it does provide them with that ADP coverage.
Holy moly,
The
that's
only,
pretty.
the only thing I would suggest there on the 20, it doesn't quite cover our costs. I'd like to see that at 25 personally. That's my own
Oh, okay.
observation.
Then you're above them.
Right, yeah, and I was just looking at the data that you have here, for these cute little devices. I mean, whether they've been out there for half a year or a year and a half, 40% of the failures are user and abuse. So those are the ones that wouldn't be covered
Correct.
otherwise, you know. The predominant failure is battery issues, and I'd like to get an answer from Lenovo, maybe. We can pressure them to say, hey, we have some data that suggests there's an issue. Maybe they have a BIOS update, or
I've
they
gone
have
back to
something.
them a couple times
Okay.
about batteries,
Okay.
correct.
Or just a thought.
Right, because battery is only covered for a year.
Yep.
You know, your battery is not, you
They
know,
start
that's a
expanding, they
year.
start getting
So
more.
that's still not gonna be covered anyway, is what you're saying?
No, battery is a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like tires on a car.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, I see,
Well,
yeah.
batteries in a car too, it happens to be
Yeah.
longer than a year. Try getting it past 5 years.
Yeah, but I just thought if you're paying for the extended warranty, then that would be covered in that.
No, the battery is not covered.
Certain exceptions.
And that's, yeah,
Consumable,
that's,
basically.
Consumable.
And it's one of our biggest problems.
Well,
And we're paying for a warranty that doesn't
but in
cover
the
it.
scheme of things,
Oh.
even though you're seeing a bunch of failures here, like I said, they're on the higher end of the spectrum when you benchmark the other manufacturers.
See a lot.
Okay.
and that is my
Other
question
than
slide,
that,
which I
You
think.
should
Don't
have
question
this.
numbers. Those of us that can't talk.
I hear you. Yeah, I know.
You sound awful.
So, but the warranty claims itself, that's where you're paying the most money is for the warranty, and the repairs covered by warranty is only 1.8%.
Well, that's warranty claims, right?
Right.
What does that 1.8% represent? Is that the total failures against your installed base, or?
It was that,
Or is
That
it only
is-
the ones that are warranty related?
Right there.
They're the ones warranty related,
Okay,
correct?
fancy, the question.
Right, so the warranty costs more than ADP, but only 1% of what we're paying, 1% of our claims are warranty related. So are we really making back what we're putting into to warranty?
And actually, there's battery issues up there, that was not that the battery went dead on those already, it wasn't holding a charge, and I think that's what happened right out of the box, your first one, Megan.
Okay.
Right out of the box, it did not hold the charge.
My other one doesn't either.
Wow.
Doesn't hold a charge.
All right, we'll take a look at that. The one you're using now?
Yeah. This isn't that, this is that. This is the one that you just had at the table. But yeah, I have to have it plugged into a wall to be able to use it.
Okay. We'll take a look
My,
at that.
my old one did that too, I guess it's just a,
Yeah, but this is new, so,
Well,
all right, we'll take a look at that.
but I think that kind of is like, that happens a lot with them, right?
So, I mean, it shouldn't happen that much, quite honestly,
Oh,
but,
mhm.
you know, so I can
Then
take
it
a
could
look at
be.
that again too.
The decision that actually has to be made, right, I think there's a couple of them.
One.
We have to make decisions regarding, one-to-one and the recommendation in terms of sixth graders and the middle school taking them home.
Correct.
Right, so that's one thing we need to talk about. We need to talk about sleeves for sixth graders. The recommendation is that we provide a sleeve in sixth grade with the expectation that the student uses it, right? That's our recommendation.
Requirement?
Requirement.
Well, anytime you say requirement, it becomes a policing issue.
Oh,
And so,
that's a
yes,
good
we
point.
can say,
Okay.
sixth graders, we want you to put it in a sleeve. But if the kid doesn't have it in a sleeve and it breaks, and it's under ADP, we're still gonna deal with it.
Okay, very
We're not
good.
gonna say, oh, by the way, you violate, right? I mean, so we just have to be careful with what we say. I do understand the point of that conversation, the same thing with if they pick their own sparkly purple case.
Mhm.
For someone to police that to go, that one's okay, that one's not, I'm not sure that's the business we wanna be in for middle
Right,
school
good point.
kids, right?
Right.
Because I think lots of them will, so we just have to decide where, because we can, but
Right.
that just is manpower then, that is,
Right.
please know that that's not a teacher or an assistant principal's job primarily, in terms of what we want them to be spending their time doing. And so for us to say, here are your four options, I understand that, what if they pick a fifth one? Nobody's really gonna know that until a problem happens, and so then it becomes,
Oh,
if we already
right.
have the ADP, it's not like we're gonna go back and say, oh, by the way, you violated your warranty, if we already have it covered anyway. So I think we just have to be careful about that, although we do have to make that decision. And then the last decision we have to make is regarding the payment, right, in terms of the insurance and whether we're gonna be self-insured or not. if we do that. When I do the calculations based off of the information Diane provided for us, if you charge $25 per year, that does more than cover the costs of the warranty and covers about half of the case, if the case is $12, which is the price we've heard another district got for it. And we haven't negotiated the same price. But that gives us about $6 per kid, because I factored out the 5% who didn't take the information, so we don't have to pay their $63, right? So I took their I took those
You took
30,
their money.
I took their $63 out to make it's a little
I
less
love
from
your
that
math.
standpoint. Well,
Math juggle.
numbers, get my numbers. And so that's at $25, the district would be investing, besides the computer, would be investing $6 per kid on the case. I mean, you can call it anything you want. The issue is that worth the manpower savings to not then us replacing screens and I don't know how many hours that is, we can't project that in terms of the number of issues. If we self-insure, we obviously will monitor it for 3 years and see what's worth it, because that could be a decision we make. And literally, I think it really, either way, we don't know. I think it's gonna be close either way. The question is the sure thing versus you take the chance and then you reevaluate. The problem is to get 3 years of data, we've got multiple years of kids that we've made this ADP
Right.
decision for, and so you're really in it for more than 3 years, right? Because the
True.
computers that are in, you can't add ADP to.
Right.
And so the warranty doesn't seem to be significant enough for us to worry about that piece, if we're not gonna worry about the ADP, we might as well self-insure,
Right.
right? Because the warranty costs,
Exactly.
and they know that, that's why they play the game they play in terms of costs, right? We
Yeah.
understand why. And so the question is, what are you comfortable with in terms of that piece? Because there are some benefits to self-insured. We repair what we can cheaply, because those pieces we can do cheaper, but it's a manpower issue.
do feel like that's.
And then you get data and you see whether it costs you, but you are rolling the dice. There is a chance that, as with self-insured insurance, we don't have stopgap loss, right? Stop loss gap. We don't have that, where we have that on health insurance. $1, $2 million claim, your insurance company kicks in. That's not how we insure computers. If all of a sudden we have a rash on 7th grade kids breaking them, that's $315 a pop
Right.
that we're gonna have to replace that one. So.
Right.
What I think I hear you saying, Diane, is that your recommendation, our recommendation, is that we do 1-to-1, beginning with sixth grade next year, they take them home. That is the one recommendation.
Correct.
And that we purchase a sleeve for every student, and that we keep looking at models, but perhaps this model that is about $12 to $15 is the one we will recommend. And that we are recommending the ADP full coverage at $63 per kid for 3 years.
Correct.
Okay, that, I just wanted to make sure you heard the recommendation. It is yours to say yes, no, but we do, from an ordering standpoint, probably don't need to have to do it in February. We probably could wait till March if you want to have another conversation about this. But the question is, what additional information do you want? And you can pull that if there's more conversation that needs to be had.
I think it would be helpful to reach out to those 3 self-insured schools and see how they're doing. Are they using Lenovo's? Because
They're Chromebook districts. So
okay.
they're the Chromebook districts, I can tell you that.
Different animal.
So it's a whole different animal, correct? It's, and one of the districts is Palisades, so it's a much smaller district.
What the heck is
So, Palisades and, I have to look to see who the other ones are.
And which is better?
Meaning,
These are better than Chromebook?
Yeah, it's
Well,
one of the smaller ones.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're saying that Chromebooks aren't as good and they're self-insured, if we find out that they're out ahead, then we should really be golden, right? Because we have computers that are supposed to be better as far as durability.
I don't believe that question was durability in terms of Chromebooks versus what we're using.
Capability.
It has to do
It's
with what they're
capability.
capable of doing.
Capability.
It's capability.
And
And
Chromebooks are very limited in terms of
They're
what they can
browsers.
do from an app standpoint. They literally are just intended to be web browsers. They're not to run any other applications. Right, which means if you're then using math software, or using science software, or using Canvas, those types of things do not apply the same on a Chromebook as they would on a, not even just a Lenovo, but a PC machine.
Correct. I do have a concern also if we self-insure, just that we can get the availability of parts, and keep parts, you know, any kind of a,
Amazon.
Inventory.
inventory. You know, if we send it to Lenovo, obviously they have the Lenovo parts, so, you know, there's that to consider as well.
Or they replace it. with
Or
something
they-
comparable.
Correct.
Can you mess up your warranty when you don't make the repair correctly?
But we're talking about not having.
Something that they're not gonna cover anyway.
So, sorry.
Really, we're only fixing the ones,
Okay.
the rates that are not under
That
warranty.
are not under warranty, correct.
So is there different information, or could you be thinking about whether there is additional information that would be helpful to you?
I just
Right? And if we do not hear that, does it make sense to move this forward? In February?
I'm fine with it.
I-
The numbers make sense as long as we're covering it with
I'm fine with the
25.
proposal as it is and with the $25 insurance.
correct
I am
coverage.
as well.
And that covers your warranty and your.
I like the idea of keeping the computers all day, but I'm not sold on the idea of middle school students being required to take them home and continue to do work on laptops after they come home. I would really like to see what parents, middle school parents, think about this, if they like the idea or if they don't like the idea. You know, I think there's a perception that once you're requiring them to do Canvas and all these things at home, that the workload gets longer, and I think that people are feeling like that's the case at the high school level. I don't know, I don't want to see us be putting too much on our kids at that age, at the middle school level. And I also think you've got more of an issue of kids at that age with, you know, yeah, we can use these programs here at school and control what the kids are accessing. But once those kids bring that laptop home, maybe some parents don't want their kids to have, you know, complete access to the World Wide Web and be able to do whatever. Maybe they do, I don't know.
As a middle school student from North who uses my laptop quite a bit for access.
And that's why I'm saying I'd
I
like,
mean, I think it already is happening.
It's already there.
What is
But
the
this
average
what's
age
rolling
of
on the
sixth
It's
campus.
already
sixth grader?
happening.
We're already there.
Average age.
They turn 12 every year. They
Okay,
start
so
11, they end 12.
I know a lot of parents that have children, and I can understand what Megan's saying, because I know a lot of parents who are still very concerned about technology, the upward trend of technology use in daily living, and so they've taken their kids off the grid, you know, and haven't exposed their children to technology, internet use, cell phone use until much older. And I'm not saying, I'm not gonna say who, but I just know, I know several families that do this, so I can appreciate what you're saying. But it is a technology trend that we're going on, you know, like, how many schools did you say, hey, like at kindergarten level are taking computer? That's a little scary to me, but,
Well, no, they don't take them home.
so I'm not sure I'm entirely comfortable with it,
well,
so.
are we, the things that we're blocking, like, can kids access social media at home because they're not on the
No, they're
network?
still filtered.
So they
still
can't go
filtered?
on
No,
Facebook
they're
and
still-
Twitter and all
that's
those other
still blocked.
things?
So the filter, we use the eyeballs filter, the content filtering, no, they cannot do Facebook from home on our device because they're still filtered, they run an agent. Just as if they're here.
It's in the background.
I'm comfortable with the financial components of it. I'm comfortable with, I personally, knowing who I am, with dropping things, would be very comfortable with your warranties and the ADP and the cost of that with the $25. I think $25 is not unreasonable.
For a
I
year.
agree with all of that, but I think I'd have to consider, I have to really think about the whole taking it home, though.
They can put it in their locker. They do their homework, right? Put it in their locker, they don't have to take it home. Lockers are
At
locked.
the end of the
Yeah,
day.
but you're training them to take it home and requiring assignments on it. So, I don't know.
Probably not
I'm not sure where
But the-
I'm
all
sorry.
the time, I'm just saying, probably not all the time. I mean, I don't know that the expectation even at the high school is that students are on that. The learning management system is there so that everything's all in one place and they can access the information that they need. And probably there is, not probably, there is an expectation that they're following their courses in the learning management system, Canvas.
Mhm.
At the middle level, they're also, that is the easy part, that's what we're trying to do. The
Okay.
teachers organize all of students' work, no matter which class, all in the same spot. So it really is very helpful for organization for students.
Mhm.
Whether every teacher says, okay, you have to do online work for me and you have to do online work for me, I don't want that to be the perception that teachers are saying you have to do all this work online. The learning management system really is to manage the courses that they take,
Okay.
okay?
So it's kind of like a course room,
Yes,
like Blackboard.
that it is just like Blackboard.
Canvas is like Blackboard.
Canvas
But-
is Blackboard.
And though, so basically, it's just learning how to manage their, but without having, so they don't have to do the assignment, there's no assignments in there.
No, I'm not saying there's never any assignments where they don't have to go in and look
Okay.
at a video, make, write a writing response or something like that, I'm
So
sure
it's
that
like
there's times.
preparatory, like preparing them for the high school Canvas
Yes,
levels.
it's the same thing.
I mean, I think some people are gonna see it as a resource that they can bring it home, and now it makes things easier for them to do their work, and other people, you know, I don't know where, I don't know where that falls, you know. I would really like to see us get, based on all of what the numbers and what we're looking at here, it makes perfect sense to me for high school kids to be putting their laptops in covers. But
Just high school.
conversation for another, well, no, I mean in addition, I think we're looking at all of this and we have, our high school kids don't have covers on theirs.
And the question is, when they start in 6th grade, will they continue? Right, some will.
Well, I think we require it, and maybe, I think that would be my, look, for me, I feel like we need to make that clear now to all 6th grade parents, you're using this cover 6 through 12, so that parents know. I think that's something that we need to make clear now.
That's a concern of mine too, that if you're gonna purchase them for all the kids, but we're not going to be policing it and holding them accountable if they choose to go out and get their own case, what happens to the other case then? You know, how do not
Oh, boy.
policing it, then I feel like it's just a waste, it could be just sitting in somebody's house. Like, we do have to have some sort of, you know, either they're using the cases and they have to use the cases, or if we're giving them another option, you know, you're not giving, if some students are going to pick a different thing, that we have to list out options, give them links to buy things on Amazon, and these are other approved cases, and don't even bother giving that case, keep it in storage and hand them out to the next round of sixth graders that come in, because, you know, it's only $12 to $15, so if you've got half the kids that aren't gonna do it, I mean, we're just giving away the case, then it's just gonna end up nowhere. So we do have to have some sort of policing, I feel like, to make sure that those cases that are handed out get used. Or get
Yeah,
given
like
back.
reinforcement, reinforcing it,
We could
like
do
you were
it.
saying, reinforcing the good habit of putting it in. At the end of class, we put it in, reinforcing.
Well, and when you say about
reinforcing.
policing it, I mean, you know, if it's a requirement and you see a kid walking down the hallway not doing it, you can say, hey, put it in the cover. I'm not saying that we need to inspect everyone,
Right, it's
you know,
reinforcing.
No,
but
I'm
if you
saying-
see something that's
yeah.
blatantly obvious, you say, hey, that's a requirement. But if it's not a requirement, then how do you say, hey, put it in you know what I mean? So I think it needs to be a requirement. That doesn't mean that, you know, we need to search everyone when they leave the classroom and make sure they all have their laptop in a case.
Better in a case.
Right. But if we're not gonna enforce it, if we're not gonna hold them accountable, if they aren't using the case and they're using their own case, we need to have some system in place to get that case back. I feel,
Oh, that's interesting.
you know? That's why I feel like the owner should sign off.
Spreadsheet with a laptop.
That's something I think you guys
Database.
need to have more conversation.
Oh, boy, yeah.
We don't want to think we drive off of it.
No. 4 months now. All right. Public comments.
Sue Furlong, West Rockville Township. Can you all remind me, I would like to review the video, hopefully, of the meeting where the academic reasons for dipping down into the middle school for one-on-one, take the thing home, had any academic advantages that we're not enjoying now? When was that discussed?
Is it December or before?
Was that December?
It might have been before December. December was just the initial one-on-one presentation. I just watched that. So it must have been before that. That's probably before I was.
Okay,
No,
November?
it was before December.
Yeah,
Because I just watched December's.
We didn't have them for that.
So it's probably that too.
So it had to be that.
So when was the academic purpose for this discussed?
We would have to track it, Mrs. Furlong.
Okay.
I really don't.
I do want to keep us as focused on public comment as possible, because if you have questions, obviously you can submit them to us and we would gladly respond.
Okay, well, that was a question.
Yeah.
I would like to see the entire cost, and I would like to know if any additional staffing is going to be necessary. I know like in about September, we had a meeting and it was discussed about all the stuff that happened during the summer where the computers were updated and, you know, set back to zero and all that stuff, and it was, I guess, a very time-consuming issue. And now we're, in the middle school, we're gonna assign it to an individual, so that's like, we had 4 grades, now we have 3 more grades, that's a 75% increase. Do we have the staffing for that, or is that another expense that's gonna come on top that we're not talking
They
about?
re-image them every year, right?
We
Yeah.
re-image them every year regardless
Okay.
of whether
So
they,
they just sit there and they re-image.
Okay,
It's really a
so
plug and play.
we are not proposing new staff.
okay, thank you. When an in-house staffer repairs the machine and it was not covered by ADP, are we charging for our staff time and the parts that we order to the student that did not purchase the ADP?
So at the middle school level currently, no one has the ADP? So
What
no
about
one,
high school? That would be a question.
Yes,
I'm
if-
not gonna ask you to answer it right now.
Okay.
I want an answer though. Do we have any collection issues with, you know, we have this, that, and the other that they charge and that kind of thing? Just curious about that. I'd like to see a complete cost analysis of personnel and devices and all that for the one-to-one program grades 6 through 9, if it's implemented. Just curious. I guess we haven't really decided if we're buying the sleeve or if the student is buying the sleeve. We mentioned that another school district purchases the sleeves. Maybe if we could piggyback on them, we'd get a greater quantity discount. I don't know. Oh, I know what it was. There was a report as to the other districts who are operating one-to-one. In the middle schools, and I think you did not get a complete response. I would like to see if you would, if you send out a second request to the districts who did not respond. I have a feeling that maybe they are not participating in one-on-one, so they didn't feel like it pertained to them. Just to get you know, you get the impression like, wow, everybody's doing it. And I don't know if that's accurate. I just think that they might be more inclined to respond if they are doing the one-to-one than if they're not. Because if they're not, they're thinking, this doesn't pertain to us. It's not important. So I would like to, you know, possibly reach out a second time and see if we can get a more complete set of data as to how many districts are doing one-to-one in the middle school with a take-home.
So you're saying like the exceptions to the rule, so exceptions to those not doing one-to-ones, and why they chose not to?
I'm saying the ones who didn't respond might say,
Oh, the ones-
one-to-one, we don't do that, I'm not gonna answer this, they don't wanna know about us.
Maybe you get feedback.
Yeah, so the response we got appears like, you know, wow, everybody's doing it. I don't know that that's an accurate response rate. And I'm just curious if we could do a second request to the ones who did not respond, and then look at the complete set of data. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Nope. And that is a wrap.
Do you wanna answer something?
No.
No, you're good?
No, I'm just providing an update. An email went out to high school families today. There was conversation regarding GPA and report cards and accessing the information. All of that information went out to high school families today to explain to them how to appreciate Ms. Miller and her department.